Oh man, I am so tired. All right, let's get into this. Welcome to the very second episode of the podcast Under the Moonlight, also known as the Moonlight Podcast. Uh, it has been a very difficult week. Last week was anyway, and that's why I'm recording right now today on Monday. Uh, I have a few things I want to talk about for this episode, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get to all of them. And honestly, I think I might want to save some of them for next week because this week, this is the off week. This is the this is the week that there's not supposed to be a podcast, and there is going to be a podcast this Monday. So I'm gonna need something to talk about next week, and I'm pretty sure I'll have something. But the fact that one of these things that I want to talk about is kind of like I could probably talk about this for hours. Uh, I might not get to that. I might just this podcast might be like one of the shorter, like 45-minute podcasts. Who knows? I want my podcasts to be consistent, but I also don't want there to be like a specific time. I don't want to try to like uh fill the podcast with like just nonsense because I ran out of things to talk about or something like that. So if I get to a certain, I want to have like a kind of a window. That's what it is. I want to have a window of time, and I think that 15-minute window is good enough. Between 45 minutes to an hour. I'm sorry. I don't. If I sound sick, I'm not. I'm just. I guess I'm just tired. It's been a really weird and wild week. Last week was. I kind of want to talk about that. I want to start off talking about that, but I also want to talk about my roommate because I mentioned my roommate a lot on my channel. But we're gonna get into the week first. So the reason this podcast is being recorded today on Monday, April 22nd, is because last week just did not work out for me. For recording podcasts or recording this podcast. So the way my week usually works is that on Sunday, Sunday is the very first day that I have off from my job. And so that day is usually the entire day is usually spent with me just sleeping, because I have so much. I work 10-hour shifts, and so when I finally get off, I mostly sleep throughout the day, throughout my work week. I sleep the entire day until it's time to get up and go to work, and then I get up and go to work. Despite how tired I am. But when Sunday comes around, I go to sleep and I just keep sleeping until I can get up and not feel tired anymore, or not feel like I have to lay back down. So Sundays are usually very unproductive for me. There are some times when I'm able to get up and do something, but usually it's unproductive. Then there was Monday, and Monday was going to be the day that I was going to record this podcast. But something, not something, the electricity went off. I don't know why the electricity, excuse me. I don't know why the electricity went off, but midway through the day on Monday, the electricity just went off, and it woke me up because I usually, to help me sleep better, to help keep me from having nightmares, I leave the TV on. And it's usually like playing something like Hulu or YouTube or whatever, and I have it on just constantly going. Sometimes it'll even that'll wake me up, like especially on YouTube, because like YouTube after a while, just like Netflix, it'll stop, but YouTube doesn't. So usually it's on YouTube. But anyway, I I woke up because of the silence, and I saw that the electricity was off, and I'm still not exactly sure why the electricity went off. The company didn't say why, but they let us know that it was gonna get turned back on, like sometime later that night. So it was gonna be a long wait. Now, this isn't the first time I've had electricity go off in my area, and the entire area was out, not just my place. The entire area was out. And this isn't the first time I've had that happen. Whenever I've had electricity go out, I would always expect it to go out again after it comes back on, because that happens pretty frequently. Not every single time it goes out, but from time to time, whenever it goes out, sometimes it'll come back on for a few minutes. Sometimes it's an hour, but then after that, it's likely that it'll go out again. Not very likely, but likely enough to where I can expect it. And so because of that, on Monday, I did not record that night. And by that night, I mean Monday night to Tuesday morning. That's usually, between the time that I record is, between that time. So I was supposed to record Tuesday then. And since Monday, that time was scrapped, I was aiming for the Tuesday night, Wednesday morning window. That didn't work out either. I think I ended up I think I ended up recording something else that day, and I think I just didn't have the ability to do it, because there are people just walking around, and that bums me out a lot. Whenever there are just people walking around throughout the house, I don't feel like recording anything, because that will get all caught up in the recording. And I don't always want to deal with that. Sometimes I do. I don't always want to deal with that. So sometimes I'll just be like, you know what, whatever. Just I'm letting it go. Then there was Wednesday. And Wednesday was kind of weird. It's kind of when like the weirdness in the week started for me. So I wake up again because of the silence, and I look around and everything is out again. So 2 days later, it took 2 days this time. Usually it's like a few minutes after the electricity comes back on. Usually like sometimes it's an hour. I think one time it's even been 2 hours, but this time it was 2 days. 2 days later, the electricity goes out again, and it wakes me up because of the silence. So I text my mom and I ask her if she's heard anything from the electric company, and she's like, yeah, they said that the electricity is going to be back on like around 4:30. So I'm like, all right, fine, it's going to be back on at 4:30. That's before I have to go to work, so it'll come back on. I'll go to work. I can confirm it'll be on. I can go to work, and then when I get back, as soon as I get back, I'm going to start the podcast, and I'm going to get it done and out the way. Usually I want to get the podcast done within the first 3 days. I don't know if I said that already, but I want to get the podcast done within the first 3 days. Sunday is unlikely because I'm usually sleeping all day, but usually Monday or Tuesdays when I'll get the podcast or any type of recording done. Sometimes Wednesday, depends on if I take that day off, if I happen to take that day off or whatever. But I decided I was going to definitely 100%, I was going to get it done that night after coming home from work. So before the electricity comes on, I get a text message from my job. No, I get a voicemail from my job saying that, hey, after day shift leaves today, we're shutting down the building because we do not want you guys out here in the bad weather because we care about your safety. So I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? What bad weather? Like, I'm looking outside and it's like, it's bright and sunny. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I look it up, and apparently in my area, there was supposed to be golf ball and baseball sized hail. And I was like, oh no. Like, I don't have any protection for my car. I don't have I think I didn't get paid at that time. I hadn't been paid yet, so I was low on money. I didn't have the money to go out and get a tarp or whatever it is people get, and I definitely didn't have. There's no garage here at this apartment that I can get to. I think the garages are like $100 a month, and then like the little awnings, the little whatever they are, the awnings. I'll just call them awnings. Those I think are an extra $50 a month. And I didn't have that money. And plus, this isn't even my place. I'm moving out in like a month or two. So I sure as shit ain't trying to pay that just for, one time thing. And then I find out that, there are a bunch of people who are going up to the office to pay for these things. Turns out this apartment complex, their policy is that if you buy one of these things, then you have to keep paying on that monthly. It's not a one-time thing. You have to keep paying on it monthly until your lease is up. So that's $50 every month until your lease is up. You can't just use it just for this one-time thing. You're gonna keep paying for it. You don't have to use it, but you're gonna keep paying for it. So I'm stressing out about my car because there's already a very small crack in it, and if the hail probably doesn't even have to hit it, in the right place. Probably just tap it anywhere tap the windshield anywhere, and it'll just shatter. I was freaking out about that because I'm like, well, what am I gonna do about that? So I'm worried about that. I'm worried about the electricity, which it came back on at 3:30, and then it went off a few minutes later, and then it came back on and went off, and it just kept doing that back and forth. And then I'm worried about the podcast. So I'm freaking out about all these things. 5:30 comes around, and the electricity finally it comes on, and it stays on. And then 7 o'clock comes around, which is when the hail and stuff is supposed to happen. It gets dark and whatever, but it doesn't rain or anything. And 9 o'clock comes, which is the new time it's supposed to happen, and the storm definitely hits, but it lasts for 2 minutes, and there's absolutely no golf ball or baseball sized hail. At the most, I heard something like it sounded like there was sand hitting the window, and that only lasted like a few seconds. So all of that worrying was for nothing. All those people, they bought those, the awnings and the garages for nothing, and then they're gonna have to keep paying on that. I dodged a bullet, boy. I was really thinking about going down there and paying on that just for that one time, but all that went down. So after all of that, not only was I like not confident in the electricity staying on, especially since it went off after 2 days, I was kind of spent. I was tired from like all of the worrying about the golf ball sized hail. I'm sorry, baseball. I keep saying golf ball. Baseballs are bigger. It was the baseball sized hail running through my windshield, and me not being able to go to work the next day. So I didn't do the podcast that night either. Here's where the week gets really crazy for me. I know there are probably people who don't really care about my life. Fuck you. If you don't care, you can get the fuck off. But this is a part of the reason why I have a podcast. So let's talk about this. This is Thursday now. So Thursday, I wake up. There's no issues. I don't even think I'm thinking about doing a podcast at this point. But regardless, I wake up and I get up and I go to work. And as soon as I get there, I run into one of my coworkers, and he's like, yeah, man, what's up? So you're here to enjoy your final days in this place? And I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. I thought it was just like, just a random joke. So I was like, yeah, man, you know how it is, man, just another day, just like, one of those generic fits with everything answers. And and so then that's when he tells me, he's like, yeah, so my girl, like, his girl works there too. He's like, yeah, she's on leave right now. She's out of town. I think she was like visiting her parents or something like that. But like he was like, she got a letter from here saying that don't panic and don't freak out, but when you get back, we're going to be shutting down the building. And I was like, wait, what the fuck are you, what are you talking about? Like the rumors are true? Because we've been hearing rumors about the building getting shut down. And I didn't believe them because like we had heard the same rumors like a year before that one of like half of the building was going to be shut down, and that didn't happen. There was supposed to be a project for us to like, get to work on half of the building and start like breaking it down or whatever, and that just did not happen. So I was like, yeah, like these new rumors, they're shit. Like nothing's gonna happen to us. But he told me that, and he was like, yeah, like the rumors are true. So I'm just laughing. I'm like, oh my god, like this is for real now. Like we were joking about these rumors before, but this is a real thing now. Like this is definitely gonna happen. And all of us, we knew to a certain extent that it was going to happen because the building had been like dying for a while. I honestly, I just didn't think that it was gonna happen like out of nowhere and this soon. So I go to my department, and as soon as I walk up, my my assistant manager, he's like, hey, we have all hands meeting at 6 o'clock. So I look at the time and I'm like, yo, that's in 10 minutes. He's like, yeah, so get ready for that. And I'm like, oh my god. So we all go to the all hands meeting, and we're all just we're talking about like, oh my god, like we're seeing people that we didn't know that they worked there, which is crazy because like on night shift, which is the shift that I work night shift, there are not a lot of people as is. Day shift, there's always going to be more people on day shift than night shift. But on top of that, I don't think we haven't permanently hired new people since a year ago. So all of the faces that we see on on any given night, they're faces that we've been seeing for about a year. You know what I mean? The only time something is off is when we notice somebody's gone. That's when it's like, oh crap, like that's the only thing that's new. There's never a new face. So that's that we're just looking at that, we're like, oh my god, like this is really really real. You know what I mean? It's just driving it home. So the meeting finally starts, and they tell us, they're like, yeah, so the rumors that the rumor that you have been hearing is true. We are going to be shutting down the building. Not all of the rumors are true, because we've been hearing rumors that we're going to start a space station. You know how rumors are. But we only have they gave us about 2 weeks to decide what we were going to do. If we were going to go to a new facility, or if we were going to quit. So they gave us papers, and then they tried to assure us that no matter what's going to happen at this new place, we have things set in place to where you won't just be starting over new. We're going to get you over there, and we're going to try to get you, if you're trained in this or trained in that, we're going to try to make sure that you get at least 2 days doing that. You won't just be going over there and now you're just some random person anymore. Again. So after we get out of that meeting, it's just like people are a lot more quiet than usual. You know what I mean? Like we're even though we're small, we all know each other. Like I said, we all know each other's face if we don't know each other's names, and we all joke around a lot. Not just in my department, but like the entire facility. Like we know each other, so. There are jokes going around all the time, and that's how we have to get through the 10-hour shift that we that we deal with. Is that we joke around a lot. Wasn't a lot of joking around after that. Like people were just kind of quiet and like they're looking at their papers and they're talking to each other like what they're gonna do. Most people, especially on the bottom level, we're definitely gonna have to go to one of the facilities, but the higher ups, they could be going anywhere. And so this is just really like, oh man, like some of us, we're not gonna be seeing each other anymore. This is a real thing. So it's just really weird for everybody right now. So we dealt with that all day. That was kind of like, and it's just, no matter how we look at it, we just kept thinking about like, it was funny before, but now that it's real, it's just, we don't know what's going to happen, and we're worried that everybody's prepared for the worst. So that's stressful. And then after that, I had to run my department for Friday and especially Saturday. Friday I was getting a refresher on how to do that because I've done it before. But it's been so long that I did not really know what I was doing. And then Saturday was the day where both my manager and the assistant manager were not there. So I was legitimately running the department by myself. I had a little help because I have another person who's like as trained as I am, but he's been trained more recently. So I've been going to him and texting the assistant manager for help. But still, it was all crazy. That was the entire week. That was Saturday. So that was the very last day of the week. It was all the entire week was just wild. So there wasn't a lot of time I could fit, a podcast into. Probably Tuesday, but I don't know what I was doing Tuesday. But that's why I'm recording today. I know that was a long explanation, but I wanted to explain that. I wanted to talk about that really because it was just like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? Like I know I'm gonna go to this new facility, but I think the week that we're going to this new place, it actually falls on the week that I'm moving out. So there's going to be a lot happening that week. And so if that interferes with the podcast, that might be a thing. You know what I mean? It already interfered with this. It's only the second episode and I'm already off schedule, which bugs the hell out of me. Like I don't think I can explain how much that really bugs me. I like for things to come out, in a timely manner and when I mean for them to come out. And I really tried hard. I don't know which day it was that I tried to record a podcast as soon as I got home. Because I did try last week. But I was tired. And I just really wasn't feeling it. So I think 20 minutes into the podcast, I turned it off. I stopped it and I was like, you know what? I can't do this. I'm tired. I'm not really lively. Which I don't think I get lively anyway, but like I'm not as lively as I want to be, and so I just stopped it and turned it off. And plus, I didn't think anybody was gonna listen anyway. But like I don't know why that matters. That's not anything new for me. Please excuse me while I take a sip of this water, because I'm talking a lot and my mouth is dry. And if you have miso, what is it? Misophonia? I don't know the word. I have it too. It's the sound, the irritation that you get when you hear people either like drinking or mostly eating. I think it mostly has to do with eating. But if you have that, I apologize. I'm gonna take another sip, and I can do that because I do what I want on this podcast. This is mine. Oh my god. But yeah, that's been the week that I've had. And if you don't mind, if you've made it this far for whatever reason you've done that, let me know how your week was last week, the week of the 14th. Yeah, the week of the 14th. Let me know how your week went. Seriously, do that. Get in the comment section and let me know how your week went. This is a YouTube video, by the way. Oh yeah, I wanted to say talk about that. Last episode, I was talking about how I was going to probably get the podcast on Spotify and other platforms that have podcasts, like Apple Podcasts and some kind of Google thing, whatever. I don't know. That's probably not gonna happen for a while. Maybe next year, if that. But to be honest, I don't want to. I'm not really interested in trying to get this podcast on any platform because I don't really see a need for it. And the reason I say that is because the last podcast, it really, I don't know when it was. It was 2 weeks ago, like it's supposed to be. Whatever, I don't care. Anyway, I didn't get it got more views than my other videos because I think I average about 2 to 4 views. I think I average like 3 views per video, which is all right. I talk a lot about how I don't care about views, but what I mean by that is I won't do things that I don't want to do to get views. But I do like seeing that my videos get views. Unfortunately, views are clicks. Views are the same things as clicks. So whenever there's a number of views on a video, that mostly just means clicks. I don't really count it as a view until there's like a certain duration of time, and mostly those clicks are literally just that, they're clicks, and there's not more than a second watched. And for the podcast, the average amount of time that was watched was like 14 minutes of an hour and 12-minute long podcast. So I'm literally talking to nobody right now, which is the way I do things. But because of that, just in case for whatever reason somebody happens to like listen to the first one, but then they're listening to this too, and they're wondering why you said that you were going to do this, but you haven't done this yet. Well, the reason is because at this very moment, at this point in time that I'm recording this, there's no need or no interest in that from anybody but me, and I'm not even interested in doing it. I like to keep my stuff on YouTube. So until I actually see that, I won't be doing that. And I get why nobody would watch the last one. I think I said it before. Like the first episode was literally just me talking about making plans for the future, things that I want to do, and setting down the schedule. Like this is when you can expect the podcast. So I can understand why nobody would watch that. People on the internet, they don't even like hearing about their favorite content creators or artists day. So I can understand. I can understand that they would not want to listen to something like that. Don't understand why, but I understand that that's the case. I think I'd rather I don't know. I have done it, as a matter of fact. I have done it because like one of the people who I actually watch, and his podcast, he actually had an episode where he talked about the plans for his podcast, and that's not where I got it from, but that's I've done it before, so I don't think it's just something that's impossible to do. Let me move on. I'm starting to ramble. So the next thing I want to talk about is something that I talk about a lot on my channel. Again, probably nobody's heard about it, but that's whatever. This is something that I wanted to make a video about as soon as I had to move back in with my mom, because this actually is the very reason why I had to move back in with my mom. And that is my roommate. I want to make a video dedicated to this, but I never did, because at the time that was last year, and I was still worried about perfection and whatever. I try not to do that. That's why this podcast might sound like it's all over the place, because I'm trying not to aim for perfection anymore, because that's what holds me back. And so you're gonna hear a lot of sounds and whatever. There are definitely other podcasts that are at a higher quality than mine, but whatever, we'll get there. I'll get there. So anyway, let's talk about this roommate. So I'm not gonna give him any name, because I just honestly I don't care to, and it's his name is not important. Fuck him anyway though. We are not cool. By the way, we are not cool anymore. But let's see. I met this person in college. I went to college for graphics and game design and stuff like that. I met this guy in a drawing class, and he, off the bat, he was kind of weird from what I remember, because I think the very first thing that he told me was that he rode his bike to the college grounds, but that he lived kind of like far away or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, and I don't think that was even necessarily true. But I remember he told me something about his bike, and he was weird. But I don't like to really judge people, so that was just like whatever to me. We met outside of the class one day, and we talked, and we had anime and gaming in common. So from there, we kind of started to, become acquaintances, not just, people who are, who were just existing next to each other. We were acquaintances, so we would start to talk to each other a lot more frequently. And it got to the point where we exchanged like PlayStation IDs, and I think we even exchanged numbers. And I say I think because I don't really remember doing that, early on in our whatever, our friendship or whatever. But I do remember, and this was the very, very first red flag. I remember that we were texting each other. Oh, you know what it was? I had the PlayStation app. We were texting each other through the PlayStation app that I had on my phone. I don't know what he had his on, probably his phone too, but who cares? Whatever. So that's why I thought that we exchanged phone numbers. We hadn't done that for a while. It doesn't matter. Point is, we were talking to each other through the PlayStation app, and we got into an argument about PlayStation trophies. What the hell? I don't remember the exact argument, but I do know that it had something to do with him believing that there are platinum trophies in DLCs, and me trying to explain to him that no, the highest that it goes is gold. Now, a lot of people, they wonder why, like, how something so stupid can become an argument. Like, why do people get into arguments over things that are so stupid like this? Well, it's not specifically that thing that matters. It's what happens during the argument that actually is what matters. Because during the argument, if I don't know what the hell is wrong with him, but like he likes to slander, he likes to, just try to tear people down. So I'm pretty sure during the conversation he called me like something like retarded or something like that, because I don't really respond to too much else. But he called me retarded for not knowing that platinum trophies come through DLCs, and that set me off. So from there we just started we had like a back and forth. We just calling each other names and shit talking and all this other stuff. That was the first red flag. I should have paid attention to that. I should have looked at that and said, you know what? And I think I did. I remember saying to myself, like, not even to him, just like to myself, you know what? This is a friendship that's not going to last long at all. I'm not going to be fucking with him for too much longer. It should have been, I'm not going to fuck with him anymore. But no, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let it run its course. And when we just stop being cool, it'll just be that, and everything will be all right. Should have been that. And by the way, this is just some nerd shit, but I do want to clarify. Whatever, fuck it. I'm not gonna do that. So anyway, from there we would actually get into arguments a lot, between us. They were never as well, not never. They like most of the arguments that we had, they did not get to be as big and just crazy as the very first one that we had over the PlayStation trophies. But we would get into arguments from time to time, and a lot of times we would get into arguments at the college, and so that means that we had an audience. So people would see us arguing, and everybody would laugh. Everybody would have a good time, and even between me and him, like we wouldn't take these arguments too seriously. So it ended up actually just being two people arguing and everybody around just like kind of like just enjoying it, just like I guess entertainment. So we got the idea eventually to record our arguments. We never did this, but we had the idea to record our arguments. We wanted to start we both had the same idea to start a YouTube channel, with a group, because we both had our own YouTube channels. I actually had started mine a few, I think months before I went to college. And so I was at that time into doing Let's Plays. This was 2012. So in 2012, Let's Plays, I think they were just starting off. And like the whole dual Let's Play thing, I think that's around the time that started off too. So if we had started then, we probably would have been pretty good now, instead of me doing Let's Plays by myself on my own channel. And I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to have somebody, I think I keep talking about this. I always wanted to have somebody do a Let's Play with me on my channel or on any channel, because that was always so much. It was always so much fun to watch that. So I thought it would be fun to be a part of that, but I just could never do that. But this guy right here, this roommate, he was supposed to be the person who I could, who would do that with me, who would co-host a Let's Play. And we didn't want to just stop there. We wanted to, because I never myself wanted to be bound to just one thing. I wanted to be able to do multiple things. Back then, I was still trying to rap, so I wanted to do music. I like to act, when I'm alone, or like when I'm around, like making jokes with people. So I wanted to act. I wanted to do skits. I wanted to do sketch comedy. I wanted to do all these things, and he wanted to do it too. And so we got a group together. The group was, I'm pretty sure in his eyes he saw that it was mostly his, but we both came up with the idea. I went to him and told him, hey, we should start a group. And he said, you know what, I have the same idea. Let's do that. Let's get some people together and let's start a group and do this YouTube thing. And we were gonna, the sketch comedy, they were all gonna be part of that. They were all gonna be part of the whatever we did. And I think even the Let's Plays from time to time, but like we really wanted to do the whole arguing thing because people really enjoyed that. People really thought that was funny, and we didn't take it seriously. So there was like no negative, there's no backdraw to that. But that never happened because after a while, I think he went away to Alaska, and he said it was like some top secret mission or some crap like that. Nobody believed him, but whatever. So anyway, fast forward to like last year or the year before that. I don't know which one. The year before that. Fast forward to 2017. He's been back for a while, and we've been talking about getting the channel started again. But he doesn't want to do anything right now because all of his stuff is in storage, and he doesn't want to go get that because of reasons. So I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. How about this? We start making plans to like, hey, if we ever move in together, then we'll definitely do it, right? So I'm almost at this point in time, I'm 24 and I'm about to be 25. And so my mom comes to me and she's like, hey, you've been here for too long while not being, not being in college. You're not doing anything. You're just doing this little YouTube thing and it's not popping off. So you got to get the fuck out. And so I didn't like this sound. I didn't like the fact that she came at me like this because I've been trying to save money, but apparently the fact that I had been taken off of work from time to time, that didn't rock well with her. So I was like, you know what? I got a backup plan. I went to my roommate because he had a space in his place, and we had always talked about if we had moved in, whatever, we could do this. So it just seemed like a win-win to me. I move in with my roommate, and we start doing we start making these videos, and we actually start doing these things that we want to do. And not only am I now in a place that I pay for, I'm out of my mama's house, but I'm also finally making the type of content that I want to make. Because for for sketch comedy, for some reason I can't do it the same way everybody else does, where they they take multiple shots of themselves and in different clothes to portray different characters. And I don't know why I can't do it. I probably can. It's just probably some excuse that I'm coming up with to hold myself back. But I've always wanted to have somebody else on screen with me, So anyway, I move in with him, and for the first while it's cool and stuff like that, we mostly didn't talk to each other because we were on the opposite sides of the house. I would be in my own room. I had two rooms to the right. One room was small, but the other room was kind of spacious, and that would be like my office, and that's where I would record videos and whatever. And then the small room was just my bedroom. Like I had my bed to the side, TV, whatever. It was real cool. It was just a nice setup. And then he had the master bedroom. It was real cool. And we would come out every once in a while and talk to each other, catch up or whatever. But mostly we would be off to ourselves. I'm going to take a sip of my water. I am sorry if you had to hear that. Anyway, excuse me. Jeez. I need to not do that in the microphone. Anyway, so we got to the point where we had gotten into another argument. It was just it was same as usual. We get into dumb arguments about stuff that we can't actually prove right then and there. And that's always how it is with me. I always get into arguments with people who like to argue, and they always like to argue about things that can't be proven right now, like something that happened in the past that you can't like pull up a recorder and say, hey, this is exactly how it was, I told you so, or whatever. But actually, this was actually something that we could have proven. We just two idiots arguing. What we actually argued about was I was learning. I had just started learning Spanish again at the time, and Spanish has always been difficult for me to learn, mostly because of the feminine and masculine words that you have to know, and you don't know the difference between. And so, but anyway, I was learning. I was learning again at that time, and I can't remember exactly why I decided to learn Spanish again. But I really wanted to learn Spanish again. I've been doing great lately. But anyway, I was telling him about it. Actually, no, I didn't tell him a damn thing. From time to time, I would like to just sit in the front room, because like there was no TV in the front room. There was nothing in the front room. There was just a couch, and off to the side was a kitchen. And that was it. The windows would shine sunlight, whatever. That's just it. So I would just sit in there, and I would just learn, Spanish. I would just play the little sound on my phone, and would tell me, hey, say this, not say this, whatever. So at one point he heard me say, yo soy un hombre, which is, I am a man, or, I'm a dude. And he heard that. And he scrunched up his face. He's like, what? I am a number? I'm a name? What is it saying? What? I'm like, no, it's I am a man. And he's like, oh, yo soy un hombre. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, well, they're teaching you wrong, because if you say it that fast, people who speak Spanish, they're going to think that you're saying that you're a number or that you're a name. And immediately, like, I don't know Spanish, but even then, immediately I was like, there's something wrong with this, because if that were the case, this would be a common thing to warn about, and this warning would be here. You know what I mean? This is what I was thinking. So I was like, yo, that doesn't sound right, because why wouldn't this thing warn me about it? This app that I was using an app. I was like, why would this app not warn me about it? And he's like, well, I don't know. Apparently it's cheap, but it's wrong, and that's why it's not telling you. So I'm like, you're telling me that people who speak Spanish wouldn't be able to understand the fact that there's un in front of hombre, and that the n in un is not in the same word as hombre. You're telling me that's what people who speak Spanish, that's what they would think. And it's like, I'm telling you, man, like I know this many Spanish people. This is his argument. He kept bringing up like the number of people who speak Spanish. I know this many Mexican people. I know this many Hispanic people, and this is what they say. No, the fuck it is not. Like, stop lying, dude. Had and this is the thing about him that everybody else would pick up on, and I just normally wouldn't care about, is that like no people would hear him say stuff, but they wouldn't believe him, because he would always say some stuff that just didn't make sense, like how he roundhouse kicked his dad to the wall, and it caused the whole, like, nah, first of all, nobody's gonna believe a little black boy roundhouse kicked his dad and dude's still alive. Like, nobody's believing that shit. And so from there we got into an argument, and it was just like, the regular, you don't know what you're talking about, you're stupid, this is how it is, that's how it is, blah blah blah, whatever. And you know what, before I go on, I want to clarify that I didn't think about this at the time, and I don't know why I didn't think about this, because I knew these things, because I've taken Spanish before. This is just how, I guess, difficult it was for me to understand Spanish. Not only have I taken Spanish before, but I've watched plenty of TV, and not like not TV that speak Spanish, but like, just I've watched. I've been in enough culture to know that number in Spanish is número, and name in Spanish is llamo. In high school I had already learned how to say me llamo es whatever. So the fact that I did not bring that up burns the hell out of me. But I did know about it at one point. I just didn't think about it at this time because after high school I just dumped all of that out. And numero uno, that shit I got from Codename Kids Next Door. So I don't know. It's just weird that I had just realized that like maybe a few weeks ago. Like it's been like a year or two since we've had that argument. I think it's been a year, but I didn't even think about that until like a week or two ago, when I was I was still going through my practices, and that came up. Llamo came up in my lessons. And maybe there are multiple ways to say name in Spanish and multiple ways to say number in Spanish. Like I've seen that in learning other languages, that there are multiple ways to say the same thing. There are multiple ways to say the same thing in English. So I could be wrong, and maybe there is a way to say number or name in Spanish that sounds close to un hombre. I highly doubt it. And I highly doubt that anybody who really understands Spanish would get that confused, wouldn't understand that I'm saying un in front of un hombre. It's just, that's just what I realized. So I do know that number is número in Spanish and name is llamo. But clearly, at the time I didn't, and this idiot clearly didn't fucking know. So we're getting into that argument, and then it gets to the point where he tells me, he's like, "Oh man, we talk about how we should have this argument on like while we're playing while we're doing a let's play or our podcast or whatever, so that people can weigh in." We had this idea where people weigh in to to the things that we say, and they pick sides, and that's how we decide who's right or who's wrong. And so that's one of the things that he got excited about. He was like, "Oh man, I can't wait for my friends to hear you say this stupid shit. They're gonna be like, what the fuck is this dumb nigger talking about?" And I was just like, what the fuck? Now, mind you, this dude is black. He's a big black dude. You know what I mean? Kind of bulky or whatever. He's a big black dude, like 6 some bullshit, whatever. Who gives a fuck? Dude has darker skin than I do. And he's sitting here talking about, yo, I can't wait for these I think he said that they were his Mexican friends. He's like, I can't wait for them to call you a stupid nigger. And I'm just baffled at this point, because like this is the point where like we're not arguing anymore. Like this is a red flag. This is a red flag, and by this point I've seen like so many red flags, but like I didn't want to be the type of person who took things too seriously, and I'm always being called out for taking things too seriously. So I saw this, and I'm like, I see all these red flags before, and I'm like, yo, maybe these things aren't that big of a deal. Maybe I'm being sensitive or whatever, blah blah blah, whatever. But then he says this shit, and I'm just like, wait a minute. Why would you have friends who would just say some shit like that? Why would you just have friends who would say that? And his response was, because that's what people say. No, I could not wrap my head around this. Like, he's said stupid shit in the past that I was just baffled by, but this was weird. And so I'm like, how does that make it okay that that people say it? So that means that you go and get friends who say it too? And he's like, well, I'm not gonna pick a fight with them. I don't know why people think like that. Like, why people think, oh well, if I'm not doing this good thing, then you expect me to do this bad thing. You don't have to pick a fight with them. Just don't be fucking friends with them. So from there we just God, it's just so weird. From there, I didn't know what else to say. I'm like, so you just okay with them, just like you just calling you the N word, and he's like, no, they don't call me that. And it's just I just keep looking at this idiot. I'm like, yo, I actually live with this dude. And I at that point I started thinking like, what do I have to like? I have to get out. I have to get away from this dude because this is I don't want to be associated with this. We're no longer going to be doing this YouTube thing. I do not want to be known, as the guy who knows this idiot because he's going to say some shit like this online. This self-hating, hate black people shit, which he said. And that's the thing. He's also said something like that before. He's also like mentioned how he hates black people before. But then he would try to explain that away by saying like, oh no, but I don't mean it like that. My family, my whole family's black. Look at me, I'm black. My whole family's black. We're all hood. We're all from this place. Da da da. And me not wanting to be like the sensitive guy, I was just like, all right, well, it's not that big of a deal. That's not what he meant. Blah blah blah. No, fucking no. Because now we're here. You know what I mean? So after that, first of all, I had stopped talking to him for a while. Like I just could not fucking talk to him. And I would go around to all of my friends who spoke Spanish and obviously, without question, obviously they were on my side because nobody who understands Spanish is going to hear yo soy un hombre and think that I'm saying that I'm a number or I'm a name. Like nobody's gonna do that. That was just I didn't even have to ask about that. The fact that we got into that stupid argument was crazy enough, but like, oh my god. So from then on, I'm done. I'm mostly done with him at that point. But after that, we live together and we do have to communicate from time to time. So I started talking to him again, and we weren't completely cool, but we were just like we weren't on bad terms. He's an idiot or whatever, but he is my roommate, and I do have to communicate with him to do this or that. So I think maybe a few months after that, he gets a phone call, and I remember this because like this was on a Monday, and I had just started recording. I don't know what I was recording at the time, but I do know that I was recording something. Actually, no, this wasn't on the Monday. Anyway, I was recording something, and he comes in, and he tells me like, yeah, I just got a phone call from this gaming company or whatever, and they want me to go out here and do this. And I'm like, so since when have you been qualified for that? He was like, oh well, I went to college, back during this time. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, whatever. So they want you to do what? He's like, I want you to. They want me to like come work for them. I'm like, all right, cool. That's what's up. You know what I mean? As much as I think he's an idiot, you know what I mean? He's doing what a lot of people who play games, want to do. Not everybody, but a lot of people. They want to be a part of the development in some way. They have ideas. They want to create, And he's gonna be a part of that. So, I don't knock that. I think there's something wrong with him, but nothing that help probably can't fix. So I'm like, all right, cool. So what does that mean? And he's like, well, they want me to go out to Colorado. I have to move to Colorado. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, they want me there to start working there tomorrow. I'm like, oh. He's like, yeah, so I'm leaving tonight to go there to start working tomorrow. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, how does something like that? How do they just expect you to do that? He was like, well, apparently they this happened like 2 weeks ago, but my friend didn't tell me about it till today or some shit like that. I don't know. It was just some dumb shit. But anyway, so he leaves that day, right? Before he leaves, he's like, I'm going to be gone tomorrow. I'm going to be gone for like a month. After that month, I'm going to come back periodically every 2 weeks. And I'm just going to start packing my stuff. And the last the last the last day I'll be here is going to be this day. During the time that I come back, we can go through all the things that I have, and if you want any of it, you can keep it. But on this day, at the end of this month, will be the last day that I'll be here. So I'm like, all right, fine, whatever, So the months go by, and and we have we have rent to pay, right? And he doesn't have his money yet, and I can't pay all of it. So we wait a while. We keep waiting to pay the rent, and at a certain point, he wants me to go up there and pay half, just give my half of the rent to the lady without having the full thing. And I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go up there without having the whole thing. So, he's like, all right, fine, whatever. And we get into an argument about that because I remember I said something, and I don't know what it was. I don't care. He's an idiot. The evidence is all in my phone or whatever. He says I say something, and then he misunderstood what I said. So he started putting words in my mouth by saying, "Hey, you said that you were gonna do this," which I never said. We got into an argument about that, and so he finally gave me the money to pay the full rent. So I go to pay it, and after that, we just don't talk anymore. And then this is when everything really falls apart. I start saving up to start paying for the rent myself because he hasn't shown up at all within the time that he said that he was going to show up. But it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Because after this month or whatever, this place is mine now. I'm gonna be living here, so I have the money. I make enough to pay this by myself. I'm gonna handle this. So this is the Monday that I was talking about earlier. This Monday, on this particular Monday, I'm recording Mario Tennis, and I'm playing through the story mode. And I think I had just started. I think it was like maybe the day of or the day after, maybe the week after Mario Tennis came out. But I'm playing the story mode, and yeah, no, it's a digital game. So I think this might have been the day of. I'm playing the story mode, and I think I record like 4 episodes, and 4 or 6 episodes, and so I get ready to go to sleep. Because I want to get an hour of sleep before I go to work. It's like 3 o'clock or something like that, and I have to leave at 4 or some shit. So I leave, my office room, and I get ready to go to my bedroom. And literally right as I get to the door, there's somebody knocking at the front door. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst time, but I'm going to ignore them. I take a peek out, through the window, and there's just this lady at the front door. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care about them. They can move. It's probably somebody who's just like asking for some shit. I don't know, and I don't care. But then I noticed that her car is in the driveway. I'm like, what the fuck? This bitch got nerve. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck are you to get up in my driveway like that? But I'm like, whatever. If I go to sleep, she'll be gone. Whatever. So I go to lay down, but she keeps knocking. She keeps knocking. She keeps knocking. And she keeps knocking. She's not going away. So I get up to finally answer the door, and she goes, "Hi, I'm your roommate's mother. I've come to collect his stuff." I'm like, "Oh, all right." Like after I opened the door, I realized like I've seen her before. Whenever my roommate would go out to, greet her, to meet her, or whatever, and like he would take food and bring it inside. So it all checks out, He never wanted his parents to be inside the house for some reason, and after she came in, I figured out why. It's mostly because he's a fucking idiot. What a fucking surprise. Our house would have like certain things, like my doors, the door to my my computer room, my office room, and the door to the bathroom that was on my side. They had both fallen off, and he didn't want to pay anybody. He didn't want either of us to pay anybody to get it fixed because according to him, we could do it ourselves. And so like when she came in and she would look around the house and she would point at this and that. She'd be like, "What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that?" And I'd be like, "Well, he said he that we could fix it ourselves, and like it's just been like this for the past year." And she's like, what what's wrong with him? Why would he do that? We are a family of carpenters. Like we like everybody on his dad's side. Da, da, da. And I'm just sitting. I'm like, what the hell? And she's like, yeah, like I taught him better than that. I raised him better than that. This whole the fact that you guys have this like your door isn't completely closed, like there's this space between the door and the frame. That's not okay. I taught him better than that. That's electricity escaping. Heat. And air escaping through these cracks. And this water pressure here is all this other stuff. She's just going off and like about all this and that. I know that's not my son's plates on over here because I taught him better than that. Nope, that's his. That's definitely his. So she's going through all this and she's looking around and checking the place out. And so then she finally asks, she looks at me and she's like, when are you moving out? And so I'm like, no, I'm not moving out anytime soon. I'm actually kind of trapped here because I financially cannot leave. Like I don't have the money to move. And so she's like, oh, okay, something, blah, blah, blah. I'm not really listening to her. But at a certain point, she mentioned something about her and her husband moving in. And I don't pay any attention to that. I just kind of like, kind of ignore it because I'm like, well, she sure as shit isn't talking about moving in here with me. You know what I mean? Like she's like, 50 or 60, some shit like that. 40, I don't fucking know. But like, I know good and goddamn well she's not thinking of her and her husband moving in to live with some 25-year-old. So like she keeps talking and whatever, and like we keep talking, and then eventually she says it again. She mentions her and her husband moving in. So I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean move in? And she's like, oh, me and my husband are going to be moving into here because the agreement that I had with my son was as soon as he moves out, we move in. And I'm like, oh. So, and she's like, yeah, and we're supposed to move in at this time, which is a week from now. And I'm like, oh. She's like, yeah, so you have a week to pack your stuff and move out. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, at first, my thought is like, no, you can't do this. You know what I mean? Like, she can't do this. But then she explains everything, and the house is actually supposed to be in her name, not his, which is what he told me. And apparently she has the right. Like my name is on the land, but her name is on the actual house or whatever. Some bullshit like that. So in my head, she has the right to kick me out. This isn't true, actually. Like regardless of of what her name is on, the fact that I had been living there for for at all, the fact that I was living there, period, and she knew about it, she still needed to write me a month notice, you know what I mean? Like to let me know that I have like 30 days to pack my stuff and move out. But I didn't know that, and she knew that I didn't know that. So she, basically she preyed on my ignorance. She lied just like her fucking son does. That's what her family does. And because I was young and dumb, I fell for it. I figured, her name probably wasn't even on the house. There's no telling what she lied about. Aside from the things that she actually lied to my face about, like how they were crackheads. All of a sudden, once she shows up, yeah, I see crackheads running up and down the street. Yeah, the constable was driving through here and probably looking at this house. So when if the constable walks in here and nobody's in here, they're taking all this stuff and throwing it on the street, and it's fair game at that point. Just telling me a bunch of bullshit, trying to freak me out for no reason. And this is the day after she shows up the first time. I've already agreed to move out at this point, and she just keeps feeding me this bullshit, trying to scare me into moving out when I'm not thinking about anything but getting out anyway. But yeah, like that was pretty much what it was. Like she told me that, and I would talk to people, and nobody really, there was only one person who stopped me, and it was like, that's not how it's supposed to be. It doesn't matter what's what. This, basically what I just said, like this is the fact of the matter. But then again, that person has has so much more experience than I guess most of the people I've talked to, because nobody else who I talked to knew about that. I'm sorry, excuse me. But yeah, that's I completely fell for a hook, line, and sinker. And at one point, she even, God damn it, she even mocked me to my face when she was talking about, yeah, I can tell that you're a good person. I can tell that you're really an honest person, and you believe in the things that people say. Basically saying that, I can see that you're gullible. I can see that you're very gullible. And I picked it up even then, but like at that point, I was so upset that that I just wanted to get out. At a certain point between the time, during that week that I packed up all of my stuff within like those 3 days, and I moved out. But like at a certain point, I realized what was going on. I didn't understand that I could have asked her like, hey, you have to give me a week notice. I didn't understand that, but I did understand that some of this stuff is probably a lie. Her son lies like a fucking bitch, so she probably does the same thing. But I was just done with the whole thing. You know what I mean? The fact that shit could even happen in the first place. You know what I mean? The fact that his mom, if he didn't even know about it, like she said that she had called him, and this is the day of, because like that day I went to work, but like I couldn't think straight because I still hadn't realized it at that time. I thought, all the shit that she was saying was true. And I'm like, I have to get out in 3 days. I couldn't really wrap my head around. I had even called my mom, and like, I think because of the way I explained it, my mom thought that, that what I was saying was true. Because I'm pretty sure she probably tried to tell me that, she can't do that either. But I said that she probably can because of this or whatever. But I had went home early that day, and I got home, and she was telling me that she had called my roommate and told him that I wasn't ready to move out. I didn't have anything packed, and this fucking idiot was like, oh yep, that sounds like him, and she's like, no, you don't understand, like he didn't know that he was moving out. And so I talked to her about that, and she apparently, what the story is that same day that he told me about the job, he went to her and told her that everybody in the house was ready to move out, which I don't know what the hell that means, because it was just me and him. There was no third person. There was going to be a third person, but there wasn't a third person, which, again, probably has to do with the lie. There's a good chance that he probably doesn't even know about any of this shit. But that he went to her and told her all of that, and then he just dipped the fuck out. So according to her story, he told her that I was ready to leave, and so that's where all the confusion. That's probably what why she walked in and she asked when I was leaving. But anyway, that was the story. I packed up my stuff within those 3 days. That Monday was at the time my last day of work, so I left early that day. I started packing, and I just kept packing and packing and packing and packing, and oh my gosh, she was on some bullshit. Like I remember, like I had most of my stuff packed at a certain point, but she came in and she unplugged the internet while I was using that shit, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I had my covers washing in the washing machine, and she stopped that shit. No, I don't think it was the washing machine. I think it was the dryer. Like it was busy drying, and she stopped the dryer and then tried to speed it up or some shit like that. She just kept like turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off, to the point where like she realized like whatever type of dryer that was, it wasn't the type that could just start at a certain cycle. Like you had to let it go all the way through. Fucking idiot. So so she just like finally let it go all the way through. But like she was really just trying to rush me out, telling me all these lies, like cutting out the internet, all this stuff, just unnecessary shit. Like, I'm gonna be out of here. You don't have to do this. As a matter of fucking fact, you can wait until I move out to start pulling this shit out, because like it's not a lot of shit. Your son doesn't have a lot of shit. It was just a bunch of shit. But yeah, after that, since it was a rush job, which is what my friend who told me about all this stuff that I could have done. He even told me, like, he was like, yeah, you can even get, like, compensation for the fact that you did a rush job. But at that point, I had already moved out. I was done with her. I was done with his family. I had blocked him and deleted him off of everything that I could, so that I never have to see him again. So I had done this whole exile ritual bullshit or something. I was done. I didn't want to deal with him anymore, and his whole fucking lying ass bitch ass family. So, like, when he told me that, like, I was just thinking to myself, you know what? I'm back with my family for a while. This isn't the end. It's not that big of a deal. I can save up the money, and I'll be out in a while, and everything's good. I don't want to deal with him anymore. I'm so tired right now of his bullshit that I'm done with him and his whole family. So I didn't take that money. I'm not really regretting it, but, like, I probably should have done that just out of spite, you know what I mean? Out of the hate that I have for that bullshit and the disrespect, the fucking disrespectful way that I was treated. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, so that's why I'm living with my mom right now. I'm gonna be out in a few months now. I think it's been like 8 months now, and I'm trying to move out before I want to move out before May, but that's probably not gonna happen. Maybe it will, probably not, but I definitely want to move out before I've been here for an entire year, because I definitely don't want that to happen. But yeah, that's oh shit, that's the whole story. So if you ever hear me mention anything about my roommate and all the other stuff, I'm probably, after I move out, probably not ever gonna mention him again. But, like, this is the story. This is what happened. This is why I'm here right now, and there's really nothing else to say. I really need to get savvy about life and stuff like that. I told so many people about it, and everybody listened to what I said about my name being on the land. This was a trailer home, by the way, so that's why I thought it made sense. I didn't know a lot about trailer homes. My name was on the land, her name was on the house, on the home, and whatever. So because of that made sense to me, and it made sense to all everybody else except for this one person who was like, yeah, that doesn't fucking matter. But anyway, I wanted to talk about red flags and ignoring them, but we are at the end of the podcast, and we're about to go on a little bit longer than the last one, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here. And next week I definitely have a lot of stuff to talk about. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I hope somebody enjoyed the podcast. This was a pretty good one. I lasted a lot longer than I thought I would. I thought this was going to be like a 45-minute podcast, but nope, we're going on 14 minutes right now. But anyway, yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and let's see you next time. Let's definitely see you next time on the podcast Under the Moonlight, aka Moonlight Podcast, aka Moonlight's Podcast. This podcast has a lot of names. I gotta just pick one. All right. Anyway, yeah, I'm hot, so I'm getting off. Later.